Governor Michael Pender, who will proceed to introduce our new district governor. Michael?
Before I introduce the governor, when I was at Pets this year, we were pleased to see that Ladd showed up with red high-top sneakers. And this was new RI President John Germ's theme, the All-Star team. So I thought I got to do something special as I go to my presidents and stuff, and I ordered these. And they just came in last night, so I missed 2 presidents already, but I'm gonna do one here, and I'm gonna give one to Ladd and his wife. But I got you little red sneakers,
Excellent.
All-Star Converse sneakers,
Yes,
that you
wonderful.
can carry with you this year.
Thank you.
I've got one for you too, Harold.
And it's in folio
And,
now.
and you should carry that, because you're part of the All-Star team.
Indeed.
Is this for the
Thank you.
This is the RI President's
Whichever,
team.
what you call the right.
Okay.
Well, today it's my pleasure to introduce Ladd Waldo. Ladd began his Rotary journey in early 2000 when he was hired as the Chief Financial Officer of Rotary International and the Rotary Foundation in Evanston, Illinois. By sitting at the board table of Rotary International and the Rotary Foundation, he discovered the world of service what it brings to all Rotarians. He admired the wide variety of cultural differences and business experiences amongst the 1.2 million members that made Rotary so unique. He experienced the impact of Rotary's access and ability to be such a great influence on peace in the world. He acknowledged that Rotary, with its rich history of service everywhere, is impacted by so many. From this experience on the international stage, it convinced Ladd that the health and wealth of Rotary is found in the local clubs. He has served as secretary of his club in Illinois and Florida. He recently served as the president of the Lakewood Ranch Rotary Club and the assistant governor for Area 10 for District 6960. His Rotary service includes past board member and treasurer of Shelterbox USA and district grants chair for District 6960. He is a sustaining donor, a multi-level Paul Harris Fellow, and his wife Sally, who is also Rotarian, are members of the Bequest Society of the Rotary Foundation. His vocational service over the past 40 years as a CPA and MBA represent a commitment to nonprofits. Ladd has been the Chief Financial Officer of hospitals, a liberal arts college, a hospice, and Rotary International. Since moving to Florida in late 2006, he served as Easter Seals CFO, and for the last 4 years, until his recent retirement, he was the CEO of Easter Seals. And a bit of trivia, if you aren't aware, Rotary founded Easter Seals on an international basis. Ladd and his wife Sally have 4 children, 7 grandchildren. Ladd and Sally are working together as a great team this year, traveling and sharing the experience throughout the district. In his spare time, he enjoys spending time with his grandchildren and gardening and golfing. If you'd all please stand and give a warm welcome to Ladd Waldo, our district governor.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
That's so well written. It's wonderful to have a Rotarian of so many years introduce you. I know, Michael, you probably know more about Rotary than most people. 40 years or so, is that right?
41.
41 years. A long-time Rotarian, and your father before you also. I wanted to bring you greetings from the Rotary International president today. As I do with all clubs, we were privileged, Sally and I, to travel to Jamaica at the very beginning of this Rotary year, Wednesday through Sunday, right after the 4th of July weekend. We traveled to Jamaica on a Rotary Global Grant Project, along with 20 governors from districts along the east coast of the United States. There were 29 districts between Delaware, Maryland, and along the East Coast in Florida and in the Caribbean. And 21 of us governors were able to travel to Jamaica to be with the president of Rotary on a service project. We each put in $1,500 from our district global grant funds, and the match from the Rotary Foundation allowed us to put an $87,000 microscopic ophthalmologic surgery piece of equipment into a hospital there in Jamaica. They'll be able to do cataract surgeries now in a much more efficient and productive way than they have in the past. I guess the patients won't have to travel out of country.
You're making them happy.
To make them happy. We also visited a girls' orphanage where 8 to 18-year-old girls who have suffered abuse are looking for the next step in their life. And this orphanage is the place for them to receive counseling and have an opportunity to get ready for a better life ahead. We built a garden there. It was called a Peace Garden. The president of Rotary was there with his red sneakers on, Michael, digging in the dirt, and also painting the benches that will be used for counseling or just sessions for people to relax and have some quiet time. It's a wonderful idea that came out of our first meeting with the president over 2 years ago. So we built this grant together and created this opportunity to make lives better in Jamaica for some people living there. We also had a 4-club joint meeting in Montego Bay. It was a wonderful experience. I noticed I was wearing Rotary shorts at breakfast one morning, and one of the other guests of the hotel stopped me on my way toward the elevator and said, "Oh, I'm a past Rotary Club president from Ohio, and we're down here, my family and I just came down here to Jamaica for a little vacation." She said, "You wouldn't believe, I just shook hands with the international president of Rotary, just a club president from Ohio, on vacation. The luckiest guy in the world, right?" I said, "Well, you could join the rest of us that are here on a project at a joint Rotary meeting later this afternoon with the local Rotary clubs." And he did come. The sergeant-at-arms of that meeting discovered the story, and he fined this guy for being the luckiest guy in Rotary that day of running into the Rotary president on vacation. His wife was a Brazilian he met on Rotary Youth Exchange Program, and they had 2 lovely daughters. So, the work we do is very productive. Rotary leaders have been talking for decades about membership, and many of us are challenged with that question. What is it about Rotary that we bring in so many people into Rotary, and yet in 5 years we lose 80% of the people that we bring to Rotary? The international leaders have appointed past district governors many times into committee jobs or coordinator positions in zones and districts around the world, trying to support the growth of membership in Rotary. And certainly we've added members, but somebody forgot to close the back door. And people are not engaged, or somehow the work we do in our clubs doesn't involve our newest members. It's very important that we do that we involve new members. But before we ask people to join Rotary, I ask that you take a look at yourself and ask, why are you here? Are you here because of acquaintance, fellowship, you like to associate with others? Are you here because you're interested in associating with those you know who are ethical in business practice? Are you here because you're interested in service and making your community a better place? That might be the reason. Are you here because you like belonging to a worldwide network of people interested in promoting goodwill, peace, and understanding? Well, if I ask friends of mine in my Rotary Club, why are you in Rotary? I ask an 80-year-old and I get the answer, I wouldn't miss lunch with the guys every Thursday, right? Well, that's a reasonable reason. If I ask my 60-year-old friend in Rotary, I'm likely to get the answer, I've had a fairly good measure of success in my career. I want to give back to the community and make a better place. If I ask my 45-year-old friend in Rotary, why are you here? It's about networking and associating with those who are ethical in their business practice. Doing business with fellow Rotarians would be important. If I ask my 35-year-old, yes, I have a 35-year-old friend in Rotary, immediate past president of my own club. Why are you here? She has some measure of interest in the peace and worldwide understanding that's available through Rotary, knowing that we have exchange programs that give those of us an opportunity to be exposed to other cultures and better understanding. What have I just talked about? It's one of those subjects in Rotary that we don't pay a lot of attention to. It's called the object of Rotary. I'll read it to you so you can see what I mean. When you ask Rotarians, what does 4 mean? Well, we usually end up with the 4-way test. And 5 is the 5 avenues of service, and 6 would be the 6 areas of focus of our foundation. But the other 4, one we don't really talk about, is called the object of Rotary. Let me read that to you. The object of Rotary is to encourage and foster the ideal of service as a basis of worthy enterprise. Service. First, the development of acquaintance as an opportunity for service. There you go. Acquaintance and fellowship. Paul Harris was a lonely attorney in Chicago, looking to make friends and network with others to grow his business. Acquaintance was important to him. Second, high ethical standards in business and professions. The recognition of the worthiness of all useful occupations and the dignifying of each Rotarian's occupation as an opportunity to serve society. There's the word again, service. Third, the application of the ideal of service in each Rotarian's personal, business, and community life. And fourth, the advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace through a world fellowship of business and professional persons unified in the ideal of service. Every one of those points talks about service. Is it any wonder that John Germ, our president this year, selected as his theme, Rotary Serving Humanity? Well, can I get all this in the Chamber of Commerce? I can meet people at the Chamber, have acquaintance and fellowship certainly. Can I be sure that those I'm with are high ethical standards in their business practice? I would hope so. No guarantee, but I'm likely to be confident of that. Is the Chamber interested in service in the community? Well, usually the Chamber, the ones I've belonged to, have partnered up with United Way locally and had a service day or two where they've helped out some not-for-profits, but it's not the real reason the Chamber exists. Is the Chamber interested in international peace and goodwill and understanding? Well, not really. They're about promoting business. It's Rotary that's about serving humanity. I have goals this year, as does John Germ. And he asked us to commit to growing membership, to increasing giving to our foundation, and to bring people to Atlanta to celebrate the 100th anniversary of our foundation. I said we could certainly grow in this district by 3%. We have 2,300 Rotarians between here and Naples, Marco Island, and what is it, 69, 70 people? There's 50 clubs. We could do that by tomorrow. But we must keep people, and we must keep them engaged when we invite them to Rotary. For foundation giving, our district has finally gotten to be $1 million district. That's a great success that we've achieved in these last few years. If I ask these presidents, who should we seek to join Rotary? They both tell us, last year's president and this year's, that there are 2 groups of people that are ripe for the picking. One is young professionals. What does a young professional gain by joining a Rotary Club? Well, let's talk about leadership skills. Rotary has a lot of training opportunity. We have Rotary Leadership Institute. Should you become an officer of a club, you're likely to get more training. Rotary invests a lot in training, teaching, coaching, and training. I have a member of my club who's a late 30s banker with 4 small children. And he says to me that he is a better banker because he was president of our Rotary Club. He tells me he learned how to speak in front of a large group. He learned how to put together an agenda for a meeting. He learned how to work with a board of directors. And he learned how to build a budget and delegate responsibilities to others. He is a better banker today because of his experience in Rotary. Mentoring. Young professionals can gain mentoring experiences from the association with some of us that might have a little gray hair that have crossed some bridges they're yet to cross. Networking. They can build their own business or gain knowledge of others in the professions through Rotary. Service may be the first opportunity for young professionals to give back to their communities through service projects that they find in their Rotary clubs. Please eat. Please eat. The newly retired is the second group that suggested that we consider. Well, here we are in Florida. We'd have 1,000 people a day moving here. They're not all retirees. Some are younger professionals as well. What do we offer the newly retired? Well, they have time, they have talent, and they have treasure. And new retired people are looking for some networking. When I first retired to Florida 10 years ago, I started golfing 3 days a week. And after a little while that got boring. A couple of guys in my Rotary Club were on the Easter Seals board, and they said, with all your experience in not-for-profits, we need your help over here. Come on and visit us. We need a CFO, which later became the job of CEO. Service opportunities. The newly retired are looking for volunteer experience, for a place to invest their time and their talent. And they wouldn't mind mentoring these young professionals that we're going to be busy recruiting, right? They're going to want to share what they know. It's a wonderful opportunity to merge these two groups of people together. Whatever happened to the old Rotary that was called the Captains of Industry? Well, I was never in Rotary in all those years as a chief financial officer of hospitals for 20 years, for a college and for a hospice, because my boss was. The CEO, the president of the hospital was a Rotarian, wouldn't miss a meeting. But in those days, it was only the CEO, the boss, the owner of the business who was in Rotary. Today, the large club in Atlanta has the president of Delta Airlines and the president of Coca-Cola Corporation in that club. And that club has a waiting list. And they are indeed the owners of businesses and the captains of industry. So it's still out there in some parts of our world. Rotary, though, has allowed us incredible flexibility over the years. We've created opportunities to engage more people. We have the Rule of 85. You've heard of that? Where those who are in Rotary a long time might be able to travel and see their grandchildren and accommodate their own health issues by missing meetings now and then and only paying for lunch when they can. They still pay dues, but they just pay for the meal whenever they're able to attend. What about a Rule of 35? Young professionals, first couple of years in their career, they could come to Rotary when they're able to get away from work and join us and be involved in our service projects, gain attendance credits for that, because the Council of Legislation has allowed for that. The club only needs to meet a couple times a month, and your service projects opportunities count as Rotary attendance. Should Rotary clubs advertise? I've asked this question in every club. Are we a program, an organization of promotion, or are we one of attraction? Do we attract people naturally by what we do, or do we have to tell people? Well, probably a little of both. I'd suggest that we can easily get our name in the paper by issuing press releases. The paper's local paper is always looking for human interest stories, what's going on. What about your speaker next week? Should have seen my picture in the paper for last week telling, come and hear our new governor. He's a wonderful speaker. No laughing. We get to advertise through Facebook these days and the internet, and there's lots of opportunities electronically to connect with our world. This club can grow if you want it to, but you must keep people engaged in what we're doing. And about foundation giving. that's on the goals of every Rotary president or district governor. We must tell the stories. What do we accomplish with all the money we raise? Well, I don't know where else you can give money and get half of it back to use in your local projects. Pretty good deal. Took me a while to understand it as the chief financial officer, but once I did, I was marveling at the method used to help make the world a better place. This past year, Governor Cindy Dora asked you and all of us what kind of Rotarian we wanted to be. And she gave us a couple examples. She said Suzanne Ray from Australia was busy going all over the world with her own money, trying to raise money to eradicate polio. She's a polio survivor herself, and she was trying to raise money from Rotary clubs and Rotary districts to eradicate polio. She's been quite successful, especially when you add the Gates Foundation match. She also mentioned George Lewis, who's in my club, who uses a knife to paint. He has, in his garage, he's got all the painting supplies. He'll get you a painting so that you can sell and donate money for clean water and sanitation, which is his main passion. He's sold hundreds and hundreds of paintings to Rotarians all over the world. She also mentioned to us Dorothy and the ladies in Kenya who are making dolls as a way to raise money to feed their children with a legitimate business. So Cindy Dora asked us, what kind of Rotarian do you want to be? Well, I asked this year, what kind of club would you like to belong to? Would you like to be in the club of Elyria, Ohio, that started the Society for Crippled Children in 1919, which is now known as Easter Seals, started by a Rotary Club in Elyria, Ohio. The story behind that is Edgar Allan from that club went to Paul Harris in Chicago and said, let's focus on, the foundation had just been formed 2 years before in 1917. He said, let's focus on crippled children. And Paul Harris said, I have a broader vision for Rotary and its foundation. But you go back and do it, because clubs get to do what clubs want to do. And that's what they did. They started the Society for Crippled Children. Do you want to be like the club in Conyers, Georgia, that built the first Miracle League field? They believed that children in wheelchairs had a right to play baseball, just like Little Leaguers do. Now we have some 200 Miracle League fields around the country, mostly sponsored by Rotary clubs and supported by Major League Baseball teams. The one my club started here in Sarasota is out on just off University Parkway and Logwood Run, and it's supported by both the Baltimore Orioles and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Do you want to be like the club in England that started the Shelter Box because they saw the need for immediate housing for those who suffered extreme disasters? Or do you want to be the club that reads to third graders? Or the club that builds a peace park? Or starts a Veterans Day parade? Or sells flags to your neighbors to have more of them flying in Southwest Florida? Do you want to be the club that supports our exchange programs? But all of this you get to decide, because Rotary International doesn't tell us what kind of club we need to be. We get to do that on our own. I want to read to you, just briefly, a quote from the first issue of the Rotarian. We all get the Rotarian magazine sent to us probably at home. The first issue back in 1911, then General Secretary, longtime General Secretary Ches Perry wrote the following. According to the local temperaments of the residents of different cities of the country, that was before we were international even, 1911, the first club in Winnipeg, Canada, outside the United States. But he's talking about in the country. There is some difference in the conduct of various Rotary clubs. Some are particularly strong for civic work, for the betterment and building up of their communities. Some clubs make a strong feature of sociability and good fellowship. In some cities, formal dress suit dinners are not unusual. Others are emphatically informal. In any event, the predominant idea is one of service to the community, to the club, and to the individual members. There it is. Over 100 years ago, talking about service in the community, making it a better place. Could that be written today? Absolutely. I am convinced, based on my experience with Rotary at the international level, and in my club, in my own community, that we make a difference in the world. And Rotary Serving Humanity gives us better communities to live, grow, work, and play. And it's because of Rotary that our grandchildren will have a better place. Well, how do we accomplish all this? How do we make all of this happen? Well, I believe all you need is love and pressing the space bar.
Not one of those ways.
Now your colleagues, Miss.
Trench. Sylvia Trench. I admire your luck, Mr.
Waldo. Lad.
Well,